So, like, Fighting Cock is one that has not changed and likely won't. But, like, there are whiskeys with joke names, like One Foot Cock out of Buffalo, New York,
That's
which
pretty
I would
fun.
like a bottle of just because. It's a great dirty joke. They've got a picture of a chicken on the label. I mean, you know, it's a good little joke. But also, like, I kind of understand the people who are like, oh, well, we're trying to elevate spirits and make it less of a like drunk college kid thing, and those jokes aren't helping, and I kind of get it. And
Yeah, I
we've gone
do.
off on a pretty wild
I
tangent.
just want to
So
say verbally, so that you guys know, I haven't figured out how to keep this stream as a VOD once we're done. So it's entirely possible that
okay,
all we're gonna have saved from this is the audio streams that we're recording here.
okay,
I'm
Yeah.
working on it
We should
though.
probably start actually explaining things when we talk about them. Yeah. Like we just show them on
oh
screen or something like that.
Yeah. I think for the sake of this, I mentioned this off stream.
I
We should we
yeah,
should we should try to describe what we're showing and what we're talking about
yes.
for the benefit of people who will be audio only.
So the Fighting Cock label is a rooster, sort of. I want to say rampant. I believe is the
believe
heraldic
that is
term for
Rooster
its
Rampant. Yeah.
pose. With the words "Fighting Cock" outlined in gold over top or above, and it's one of the more interesting, eye-catching labels that you will see in the liquor store.
If you've ever seen Sky Valley's sriracha sauce, which I just sent on
Oh, okay, this is gonna
on
be fun.
Discord,
This is
it
gonna be
looks
fun.
exactly like Sky Valley's sriracha sauce.
This one I think is meant to be a
Oh no!
Phoenix.
Oh
It
no!
is. No, it is a phoenix. It's actually quite funny. The resemblance is uncanny, and that is no shame on either one. It's actually just really funny how similar they are.
Yeah. I can see that. Just mirror flip the Sky Valley and ooh,
Yeah.
either a bad time or a really good time. Um, but to get slightly back on track, the next slide has one of my favorite labels that I've seen recently on it.
This is that one.
Just yeah, it's the beautiful Fabled Chase label that I really hope that this one actually makes it to market because that is
It's
such a
so
beautiful label.
it's so nice.
Yeah,
It is just
that gives some like woodsman vibes and like a fairy tale kind of. Clearly, that's
oh
I
yeah,
mean yeah. Really,
a
the
little
branding
golden
speaks for
unicorn and
itself.
moon.
Although
Yeah. I mean,
I'll
like
be
every
honest, that font reminds me of like some of those romance novels.
Oh yeah, I can see that. And
it
Fabled Chase
does.
just be might be one of those titles.
That AS ligature with the
Yeah,
middle
Fabled
bar of the
Chase.
A cut out and the S sort of swooping through the A. Yeah.
Fabled
and
Chase is
the
definitely also a self-published Amazon novel about copulating
oh
with a
yeah.
unicorn. Yes.
Hey, so
uh
let's get into like some label minutia here while we're looking.
yes.
How do you guys feel about labels that put a bunch of words that really don't say anything on the label?
Ooh, are you
So I'm
talking
not
about
a
the
real
left side
huge
The
fan
here?
of
left
that.
side, yeah. So on the left
All right,
side,
let me read
so
this
for
because
the
I
yeah, let me read it out loud for the audio only, or at least kind of paraphrase it. There's this big
Yes.
paragraph
please
on the left
do.
side, which will be the back of the bottle, or I guess the left side of the bottle, because this looks like a full wraparound label. Um,
Mhm.
so by the way, this label has a hiker in the middle over the words "Fabled Chase," "Proof of Legends," "Single Barrel Bonded Straight Rye Whiskey," 100 proof. That's going to be the front label. On the right, it has a unicorn in front of the moon on a plateau, and it says notes of gnarled oak, blasted leather, and desolation. Which
I
All
want
of
to know
this
what
is in this
desolation tastes
beautiful
like.
shade of forest green. I think this is one of the most like just intimately wonderful labels that I've seen in quite some time. But
It
continue
reminds
on,
me
DemiTastes.
Oh, yes.
Sorry, what was that? I was reading the chat for a sec. Thanks,
What
Genji.
does it remind you of, Duckphill?
So, if you've ever seen any like adventure novels that were published in like I want to say somewhere between 1916 and 1936, that have
Yeah.
like the embossed leather or book cloth cover with like the illustrated fly leaf, that's what it makes me think of. Just
It's a
the
little
rich
like
greens, the gold.
the old Wizard of Oz books and stuff like that.
By the way, since we're
Yeah.
talking about rye now, and I have a rye prepared, and this feels apropos of this label that we're looking at, I'm going to pour a little bit of
Yeah.
Wilderness Trail Rye, which is a
Oh,
Kentucky straight
beautiful.
rye whiskey. And this is, I believe, a single, no, this is a small batch. This was a small batch bottle that was for sale on, I think it was Sealbox, as part of like a
Mm.
big, like, buy any of these and you get free shipping and like 20% or 30% off or something like that. So
That's a good
naturally, I
deal.
bought 3 bottles of Wilderness Trail Rye, which I never do. I never buy
Yeah.
multiples, but I had heard
That's
that
great.
this was fantastic and the deal was good, and I figured if I don't like it, I will find someone to take it off my hands. Um,
I'm pouring myself some Catoctin Creek Barrel Select. This is the last year's, or not 2022, the 2021 Black Friday Crooked Run Stout Barrel Finish rye, because I have it and I haven't touched it in a while. Rye is my favorite, folks.
Yeah. I will be drinking. I'll be drinking. Oh, what is it called? I don't have the bottle in here with me all of a sudden. I'll be drinking the Sentinel Rye, an MGP rye made out of whiskey Dobak. I was planning on the Wild Turkey cask strength rye, but dropped that on the ground the other.
Cool.
So we won't be doing that right.
Ouch.
Yeah.
So the on this label,
yeah, hold on,
the
hold on. Did you just say
really
you haven't touched a rye in a while? This is very out of
I haven't
character,
touched
Phil.
I haven't touched this rye in a while,
Oh, there you
which
go.
is
There you go. There
why
you go.
there's so much in this bottle.
Phil's the rye guy.
But
Phil does rye.
yes,
Yeah, and I guess
it's my
Ian and I
favorite.
are both American single malt guys. Uh,
Oh yeah.
but we all dabble in a little bit of everything.
So the important parts of this label are front and center. The bonded straight rye whiskey, which so means that it's subject to the Bottle and Bond Act, which means it's a minimum of 4 years old. It is the product of a single distillery of a single distilling season, bottled at no less than 50% alcohol by volume.
Oh,
No, it has to be
wow. You
bottled
know,
at exactly 50% alcohol by volume.
normally I'm good
Oh,
at
no
reading
more.
labels here, but I almost want to get into why I almost didn't notice that. So I saw 100 proof. I didn't see bonded. And
Oh really?
bonded of course is, I mean, I read it and I was probably more focused on reading than I was on processing what I was reading. That's a thing. Um, but yeah,
Yes.
normally you would see bottled and bond. There are 2 ways to specify that a whiskey is a bonded whiskey, and one is to just say bonded, and you don't see that often. So that actually kind of took me off guard.
1897. The Bottled and
97.
Bond Act of 1897.
Ooh.
It was
Which
the
was
first,
Taft, right?
I believe so. It was the first Consumer Protection Act passed by Congress,
Really? Okay.
at least in the U.S., which
Right.
It
which
was a
makes
big
it
deal.
unique.
Whiskey is a big deal,
Yeah,
guys.
it is.
I don't know
It
if
is
Oh
I don't know
indeed.
yeah.
if you knew
Oh
that,
yeah.
but
Whiskey,
um,
we're going to get into a little bit later. First
so
domestic
anyway,
taxed product in the United States as well.
there are a lot more labels for us to get through, and I said that I wanted to cut
Yeah.
this off at 6:30. I could
Oh,
go I really shouldn't go beyond 6:30 because I have to get somewhere.
For a first stream, this has honestly been remarkably successful. I think we've been talking a lot about this kind of thing, and I would say that we can definitely cut
West
it off
Coast.
Oh yeah,
about
Pacific
6:30 and
time.
save
It is
our
currently.
other ideas for the next one.
Yeah, we could save the history segment. I
Yeah.
think we probably have time to breeze through the next four labels we have here, and we can save the American single
You
malt and the rye stuff for later.
you did
Yeah.
want to talk about really quickly this text on the left, and I'd love to
Yeah,
hear what
yeah.
you have to say about
Yeah,
that.
let's dig into this label a little bit more. So we're still looking at this forest green fabled chase. The center label has a hiker on it, pulling some bushes aside. He's looking at on the right. There's a unicorn in front of the moon, on top of a plateau. Beneath that, we have notes of gnarled oak, blasted leather, and desolation. Which that's like
Wonderful notes.
those are wonderfully poetic notes that mean nothing to me. And
Absolutely
let's
nothing.
say a little bit more than nothing to me. Right? That's poetry
Yeah.
more than
It's
most
all
things.
vibes here on this label. Nothing but vibes.
Yeah. That's exactly what I wanted to point out. This label is 100% vibe and very little substance, with the exception of the required labeling of what it is and the fact that it's bonded and so on. So here on the back label, which is a big piece of real estate, or the left side label, because the left and right sides of
Yes.
the label are both sort of the back, as it were. This is going to be a full wraparound label, I imagine. Probably going to touch in the back, or just a slight gap. This doesn't look like it has a front back label like you'd normally see on a bottle.
hmm
So on the left panel, let's say, there's this big paragraph which reads, "Our toast to dream chasers, far and wide, we present unto thee this most carefully prepared and aged spirit, an invigorating compound of finest rye grains, fermented with the aid of we animalcules, patiently distilled and ripened whereuntil a satisfactory aquavitae was rendered. Consecrated
Yeah,
with noble alicorn, worth 7 times its weight in gold, find in your flagon a mythical marble, famed in days of yore as wisdom's dearest folly, and a pleasing tonic for the world-weary, forsooth."
They're marketing to people who play D&D and also drink.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
So me.
This right
So
here,
me.
this right here is, and I guess we all reveal ourselves as uber nerds now. We play D&D.
Yeah.
Which I actually didn't know about either of you, I think, until this moment. I probably knew about Phill.
No.
Yeah.
So I haven't played D&D in a long time. But yeah, like this is, buy this bottle, bring it to your next campaign session, because this is D&D vibes up and down. But that big paragraph on the back label, I think, is a fine example of what to do if you're going to put a paragraph on a bottle. That was 100% fluff, but that was feel-good fluff.
That was fluff that makes you want to buy that bottle.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
That sold it. And like the guys at Thistlefinch, or the folks at Thistlefinch, do a great job of writing labels. I
believe this is my first time ever seeing a Thistlefinch label or bottle in person ever.
They're out of Pennsylvania. I think they're in Lancaster County. I want to go
Lancaster,
and visit
PA,
yeah. They, like, all their labels are okay. This is by far my favorite. It is not on their website yet, which makes me think that this isn't slated for release for quite a while. Like I said at the top of the segment, These are labels that have been approved by TTB. We may see them, we may not, but I really want to see this someday, and I want to buy a bottle of it. Because
I'm convinced this is a label that has done its job
sold
exceptionally well. Yeah. And by the way,
yeah.
I cannot leave without remarking on the fact that absolutely every rye label in the world is green. And this is no exception.
It is always green.
And that's almost a joke within the industry, as I understand now. Sometimes people will be like, should we make this green? Well, it's rye. It has to be green. That's the only color it can be. Lost Lantern made their label colors, to indicate what style of spirit was in the bottle. And of course, they also chose green, not because they had to, but because everyone does.
by
by the way,
want of usage.
there's one more detail here, which is very much in keeping with the theme of this
Ooh.
label. Underneath all of that, and there's usually a statement about please enjoy
Yeah.
responsibly. There's of course the government warning, but they usually require some, like, you have to link to the responsibility.org or something like that, and say please enjoy responsibly or something equivalent. And what they've written here is please enjoy without any jiggery pokery. Which
Jiggery
I
pokery.
do like
Yes.
jiggery pokery.
I don't think I've ever heard that phrase before, but it does feel in keeping with this label. So
It is. It
It's
is
a very-
a very East Coast phrase, like old
Mhm.
Okay.
school.
Old school Virginia gentleman kind of phrase.
Oh yeah,
jiggery
yeah, like-
pokery. It
Oh,
feels like it
yeah.
wants to
On-
be higgledy piggledy, but
On the topic of label colors, you know what I propose as the official color for single malt labels? If I can reach it without falling down.
I believe,
Yeah.
for what it's worth, I believe Lost Lantern uses apparently brown for their American
Yeah,
single
sort
malts.
of rust-colored Lost
Yeah.
Lantern.
Yeah.
That orange, though. It's good.
Yeah.
Oh yes, that is.
The orange is good.
And most of the hang on a sec. Let me get out a proper McCarthy's bottle here. Most of the McCarthy's bottles have this lovely purple capsule, this sort of
Maroon,
burgundy,
purple sort of
maroon.
thing. Beautiful.
That beautiful capsule, which is one of the things that made me want to grab this bottle when I saw it. I went into the store knowing I wanted
Yeah.
to grab a McCarthy's, and the color of the capsule really stood out to me as like, wow, I want to buy this. Like, it just
Yeah.
looks good on a shelf. That orange label, the McCarthy's 6-year PX finish, for some reason they switched to a, like, instead of this matte
black.
foil, instead of the matte foil capsule that you feel okay with leaving on the bottle, they switched it to a black shiny plastic capsule.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
All I can say is I think that may have been a budget thing, because certain people at the distillery that I've talked to really wish that they had kept the purple.
Oh, that makes sense. All right. So I said you would never catch me pushing things along, but we have about 7 minutes left. I think
Yep.
we got a few labels to get through. Do we want to finish off with a few more labels? Or do we want to finish off with something a little bit weirder?
Do I get to
for
find out
weird.
what weirder is before we do it?
Oh, you do know what the weirdness is.
That review.
Oh, it's
Oh
the
yes.
weirdness.
No, let's please do
Yeah.
that. We can get to more labels
Yes.
later if you're okay with that, Phil.
All right.
Oh,
So,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
So we are talking right now. We're going to end off. We started off with tea and coffee. Absolutely wonderful. This is a whiskey podcast. We're going to end off not with whiskey. We are going to end off with one of my favorite little things that comes out every once in a while. So Hendrick's Gin. Hendrick's Gin will release a special edition every once in a while. I have tried each and every one of them, and I think that they are just gorgeous. I mean, in the past we talked about Midsummer. Midsummer was an excellent, much more floral gin. Hey, Rendrat, if you've had it before, you know we're going to talk about it here. But we they had the Orbium. They had the Neptunia, which I haven't had yet, but would love to. They've had a few really, really fun things. Their Lunar Gin was excellent. So the Flora Adora is their most recent one. Notably, they've got this wonderful little kind of salmon pink label, some lovely flowers, and a butterfly staring at you on the front. Gorgeous stuff. This is from their Cabinet of Curiosities, 43.4% alcohol by volume. This Flora Adora gets kind of weird. So they went into this wanting to pop in some shall we say, floral flavors, definitely. And I wrote a much longer review on this for a moment. So we'll just go into it. Oh, Rendrat, too much rose. Yes, we will talk about the rose here in a moment. I'm just going to read you this thing that I wrote verbatim, just because I liked it.
And
I found this to be.
and I do recall now, although I wouldn't have described this as weird, more wonderful, and the reason for that cup. But I actually, I told Ian that he should read this review on stream because it was quite fantastic.
We're drinking this out of the only glass that you should drink the Florodora out of, a Belle Epoque champagne glass that I found at Goodwill earlier today. But so Hendrick's Florodora earlier today, about 20 minutes before the podcast started.
Excellent.
So the Florodora. So the nose is violet and rose. Very little else. Violet and rose, but they're screaming at you from across the perfume aisle. The palette, you get a lot of this violet, a lot of this rose here. Once again, a lot of rose and violet, bit of menthol hit to balance things out right here. But you know that Turkish delight that Edmund sacrifices family in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe tastes probably a lot like this. It's like if you went to see River Dance, but all the dancers are flowers, and this is actually a fever dream. Very pleasant at 43%. You could drink this neat. I am right now. But you may feel that this is in some way because it tastes like how you always thought that shampoo should. The finish, the shampoo-based terror, rises slowly as you swallow it. This feels wrong. This was a mistake. Are you sure this wasn't an elaborate marketing stunt for a bottle of soap that everyone has deeply, tragically misunderstood? No soapy death ever occurs now, but the wariness remains as you stare at the glass, pleased that the feeling was quite nice as far as a gin goes, but chilled in a way that had never occurred to you. It leaves you for a desperate longing to congratulate people at Hendrick's for doing this, if only just to check on. Secretly, you're concerned that this is what they wanted, and it leaves you with trepidation for what they may unleash on the world next year. In any case, I'd suggest this is a very sparse addition to cocktails. I made one of the worst cocktails that I ever made in my life last night, and I tried to do a weird Sazerac with this. But $33 US. Treat this like a bit of bitters at $47.99 in Virginia Rendrat. Would not pick up this bottle. There are a lot of gins for that price that you could get. $47.99 ain't it, man? No. This is incredibly overpowering in a cocktail. Rendrat is correct. I think that this could work somehow. Gonna probably try it with a Corpse Reviver style of thing next, but it's a or at least the Wastrel Corpse Reviver. Let me be clear, we're changing out the absinthe for gin, not the gin for the Florodora. This stuff is crazy. It is wild how much floral flavor they have managed to pack inside this gin, for better or for worse, honestly.
Yeah, Rundrat is to gin what I am to whiskey. We used to host a show together.
Oh yeah.
Was that the Ranger's Respite or a different?
It was long before that. We had a show called The Drinking Geeks, which is what my Twitter handle is. Really low budget. But he's one of only a handful of people I have ever met who is capable of drinking just about any gin neat. Just sipping it.
Nice. Maybe not this one, it seems.
Maybe not.
It is an experience.
Well, if you can't use it in a cocktail, then maybe the only use for it is to sip it neat. But I think using it equivalent to bitters, just a dash or a rinse, is a way to use a lot of challenging alcohols. For instance, the How to Drink channel used Malort essentially as bitters, and basically that was one of the only ways to make that palatable, because it is effectively wormwood liqueur, wormwood bitters. It's rather one note compared to something like Angostura, but it can be used.
It's one note in that incredible lingering licorice bitterness, which I don't find entirely unpleasant, not in the way that a lot of people do, but
I mean, I love licorice. Malort was like getting kicked in the mouth.
Yeah.
I haven't had the pleasure or displeasure of trying Malort yet myself.
I will
we
be
may have
grabbing a
to-
bottle of Neptunia next time I see it, Rendra. Thank you for that. That thing I've been putting off grabbing it. But yeah, no, I'll be trying that one sometime.
Was Neptunia the one? I was looking at Midsummer Solstice before I found Flora Adora, which is just Midsummer Solstice sounds like, you know, there are audiences for these sorts of labels. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Flora
Yeah.
Adora does
Midsummer
not
Solstice-
necessarily appeal to me. I can see how it would
No.
appeal to certain people. Midsummer Solstice sounds more my style. It sort of evokes Shakespeare and that sort of stuff.
Midsummer Solstice is what I wanted this gin to be, and they went in really, really hard with flowers. So much so that I can't actually taste any juniper in it.
Interesting. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So if you want,
Oh wow.
you know, we have like these like flavor, these concentrated flavor things for like cupcakes. I don't remember exactly what they all were, but one of them we got was durian, which is hard to forget. And also rosewater, of
Durian.
course, right? The trouble with rosewater is it is delicious, but if you use just a little bit too much, it tastes like soap.
And overpowering.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to be careful with anything floral, might go soapy. And it sounds to me from your review, this one went a little soapy.
Oh, it went soapy.
So I guess
Oh, boy.
with that, we should wrap
I hate
up.
to be that guy.
Oh, yeah.
If you guys are okay with calling
Yes.
it there, let's see. I will just I'll
Oh,
open
yeah.
it up to chat, and anybody who happens to see this VOD or listen to the podcast, depending on how we edit it down. How did you like this? What would you like to see more of or less of? Do you like us going over labels? Do you like us talking about what we're drinking? Do you like us reading pre-prepared reviews in any degree of seriousness or poetry? Poetry. That's the word.
Poeticism?
Poeticism.
Yeah,
Yes,
poetry.
I think poeticism is the word I was aiming
Yes.
for, but I ended up somewhere between poetry and poeticism. Yeah. Let us know what you think. If you liked this, are we wasting our time? Should we not do this anymore? Because this was a little bit of effort to set up, but I imagine that next week would be a bit easier because we've worked out how this sort of works with Twitch and all. Hopefully this VOD gets saved. Otherwise, we have our independent audio streams that will sync up. Sailor Graph liked what he saw. That's great.
Sailor
Gaming
Graph.
Genji
Thank
says,
you for
I had
coming
fun
by,
in learning
Sailor
about
Graph.
wisdom.
Excellent.
Thank you,
Yeah,
thank you,
Rendra,
Genji.
Gaming
Thank you.
Genji, Sailor Graph, Dragon Few
Yeah.
earlier. Thank you all so much for popping by.
This Rendrat says this was the most fun stream I've
Oh,
attended.
and Holden wants to subscribe.
Sorry, what? Who wants to subscribe? I would say go ahead and subscribe.
That's
Were you
Red Rat.
able to subscribe?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I
This
mean,
was the
we can
most
follow- I
stream,
think we
the
have
most fun stream I've
subscribe.
attended. I would say
yeah.
starting a VOD channel of YouTube would be a smart idea. Also, let me subscribe. Oh, I think on Twitch the term for subscribe is watch. I'm gonna have to learn.
There
this
is a
terminology.
version of subscription where they give us like money and we can do like little
Oh, that's right.
emotes and things
Yeah,
like that, but
so-
I'm not really clear how that works.
Yeah.
We're gonna need to find somebody who can like right now. So the situation right now is
Yeah, actually explain
where
that to
I would
us.
say we're a bit I don't think we have the button. If I'm not mistaken, I think you have to have a certain number of followers before Twitch lets you partner, and then they will give you the option to let people subscribe, because basically if you're small enough, it's not worth the money moving around.
Yeah.
So we need to
Yeah.
get to a certain size. And then we'll do
Yeah.
things like, as our chat gets more rowdy with more people in it, we'll have to hire mods, and then there will be a good reason for us to want to have people subscribing, because this is going to start costing money as opposed to just our time and electricity. So
I mean, yeah, maybe. I mean, if we keep going, if we need to start editing and things like that, I mean, we're probably talking about like a Patreon or something like that at some point. But this is the
Yep.
first episode, and who fucking knows what's going to happen next week? So we'll figure that out.
Yep, I think our thought right now is we're going to try to do this weekly.
Yep.
We might skip a week if everybody's busy. Um, I don't think for the moment we're going to try to do it more often. We have to figure out what the overhead of editing and so on is. So for now, I think it's probably enough for us to say tune in next week, Thursday, same time, same place, and we'll pick up where we left off.
Same bat time, same bat channel. Yep.
I love that shit.
I will have new labels to look at then.
Oh,
Awesome.
Thank you so much. We'll be doing. We might be getting around to history next week. Who knows? We'll be talking about first history thing.
Yes.
Will be about the Whiskey Rebellion. There's a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yeah. At work sometimes we say that thing you want is an entire company of effort. And Ian picked up the project of the Whiskey Rebellion history, and I told him that's an entire podcast by itself.
It is insane. It is kind of wild.
So,
I'm probably gonna pick a less extensive one for the second one. So we're gonna figure that out.
Hey, we'll figure it out. We'll figure out. We put content on stream, we edit it down. That's gonna be how it goes.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm gonna. So there's this thing.
Week,
I don't know if our audience.
The week after.
Sorry, next week. Yeah, let's say next week, or we might skip it and do the week after that.
Yeah. It has been an absolute pleasure to do this with you. This is
single malt.
Ooh.
Yeah. So there was some recent news about that. But it sounds like that was
fast.
It sounds like American single malt. Just to tease what I like to talk about. American single malt has had some news recently. American single malt is like single malt in the rest of the world is 100% barley, and aged in potentially refilled barrels. And that's basically all you need to know. But it is not yet a legal category.
Basically all there is.
But there's a lot of minutiae that makes it interesting in the context of the law. But what's really interesting at the moment is it's not a recognized category at the moment. There is pending legislation. The TTB, which does the regulations in the United States, released a public request for comments last July, left it open for 2 months. I authored and got sign off from the mods of the Whiskey Lodge, which is where we all met each other and where we hang out. It's a Discord server. I guess I should post a link to that in the chat. I should have come prepared with that. Yeah, let's see. The Whiskey
I'll
Lodge.
do that real quick. You can keep talking.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Keep talking. One of us will do it.
Yeah, thanks for that. So we all hang out in the Whiskey Lodge, and we put together the comments for our feedback for what we felt American single malt should be, and gave that to the TTB. So they closed the comment period in September. We thought maybe we would hear if they were making adjustments to the legal language, or if they were going to approve it as is, or if they were going to sort of give us some kind of indication of how long it would be before we heard from them. We haven't heard anything. So since September through now, there's been nothing official, but I saw a whole bunch of articles come out in the last week about there's about to be a new category of whiskey in the United States, which is American single malt. And I'm not sure if there's actually news coming from somewhere or if that's just rehashing what there is. I'm going to look into it before next week. We can talk about it then. I love talking about it. I love learning about it. Thank you, Phill. Feel free to join us at the Whiskey Lodge. We're very beginner friendly there. We love to sort of explain things from scratch to people who are just getting into spirits and especially whiskey. We've got a lot of knowledgeable and patient people there. And we love talking. If there's one thing we do, it is talk.
Yes.
All right. With that, I think I'm going to end the stream.
We've gone 10 minutes over.
Yeah, I think I'm going to...
It has been...
Well, that's why I had to say
news.
it's going to take me 10 minutes to get where I'm going to go at 7 o'clock. And so I had to say 6:30 because I knew we were going to run long. That's just how these things go. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream now. We're going to have to work on a sign off. But for now, I will say cheers and thank you for listening.
Gute Nacht. See you all next time on DemiTastes Whiskey Cast.
Sláinte.
Mhm.